Hello, welcome back to Creative Matthew. This is another video. This one's just gonna be simple charcoal. I already drew it out, as you can see. I kept going, here, you can figure out what I'm drawing. Let's just get the drawing done beforehand, for this one at least. I'll do other ones where I don't do it beforehand, but still. Anyway, so this thing's just getting to the shading part. I've shown you some of the tools already, so I won't necessarily need to do that. But Adam Savage, I guess he likes it when they keep repeating. People who really like, if I just come into the video, I don't necessarily want to have to go back to an old video, but honestly, for the majority of people, I think they'd rather just go back to the old video. So, let's give some. My technique is just making little soft marks that I can then blend out to give nice even shading. This side has more light to it, so don't do a whole lot on this side. Charcoal, like watercolor or a colored pencil, is a kind of taking a colored pencil, you can kind of do light over dark, but it's actually not the easiest thing. But in charcoal, you can use your eraser to erase back up tone, so it's back and forth. But the technique I do is, right now at least, is mainly just trying to build up slowly, and if I go a little too much on a spot, I can always just pick it back up. This side's really dark. Making sure that's staying in view. My reference is falling on me. So how's everybody doing? I keep saying that. I understand now why you have some people just start randomly chatting, because it's a little awkward when you're doing this. You're recording, so you have an audience, or at least you hope you have an audience. That would be a better way to say it. But yet, you don't want to bore them by just. So you try to give some sort of sound. Let's go back over here. What's everybody gonna be for Halloween? And if you're watching this thing after Halloween, what were you for Halloween? And if you're watching this 5 years from now on Halloween, what you gonna be for Halloween? That's the thing with YouTube videos. You could be watching it 10 years after the fact. So, how's everyone's day going? It's like you ask questions and you know they can't answer because they're not on here. And they could always put comments. You can always comment in the comments section, but I don't have enough viewers for that to matter. There's not enough viewers. Where's my white charcoal? Did I use up the last of the other one? Looks like it. I'm on a new pencil. This is Refined Art Sketch Marco. That's a nice consistency for white charcoal, because charcoal is actually not white. Obviously charcoal is burnt wood. It's burnt something, and so it's black. But this is designed to have that charcoal feel, the same texture and stuff as charcoal. This must be a pretty soft one. Soft ones you can get nice blacks out of. When they're not quite so soft, usually if it's hard, better for like drawing and stuff like that where it's not digging in too much. If it's soft, you can get really nice color, or nice dark color. It also doesn't come out as easily, or at least it's, well, I don't know, depends. If you really rub it hard into the paper, then it's always going to be hard to get out. Let's see. I'm actually trying to follow my reference a little bit closer than what I usually do. I'm using more free, like free form, freehand, whatever you want to call it. Or I'm just having fun. I mean, following reference is still fun, but it can be more. It's more freeing. Just taking your subject and just you're not too concerned about if it's exactly like the reference, and really, you really don't want to follow the reference exactly. I mean, if it's something that if it's a photo you took, then yeah, it makes sense that you might want to try to make it just like the photo you took because you really like it. But if it's just a reference you found, or just you're watching some live animal at a zoo or something, or on safari, then it really, it's what do you want to get out of that picture or painting? Sometimes it's just a study. It's still a study. Just means where you're just trying to learn that form. You're trying to learn how the shapes of that animal. People talk about, can you draw this? Can you draw that? You learn the basics of how to draw and how to shade different shapes. And from being able to draw and shade those different shapes, you start to learn, okay, where do I see that shape on this? Like here in the muzzle, it's going to be more, it's almost like here it's almost spherical. Here it's almost more like a cylinder. A squished cylinder. So, but you start to see those things and you start to figure out more about how to get those things painted in. I don't know if I'm going to finish this on this live stream or not, but I'm at least going to go. Usually I do the quick ones. This one, if I'm actually trying to follow the reference, I'm going to take a little bit more time with it. Which means that I may not finish the video, or not video, the image on this particular one. Is that white on this side is in the shadow. I might just leave it gray. Starts to get it lighter on this side, but I remember growing up watching Bob Ross and thinking it was so cool how I could make these, what I thought were very real looking landscapes with such little effort and stuff like that. Studying, like taking every art class I could in junior high school. Never did college. Especially apparently with art, it's your portfolio that matters. If you like, I mean, some people just do art as a hobby. Some people try to get it as a career. I'm trying to do it as a career. That's part of the reason I'm doing this video. Actually, that's the main reason I'm doing videos, is to mainly just get my name out there. So people see it, people share it, they like it, and it gets the attention of people and companies that are like, hey, we need an illustrator, or we need a concept artist, because I do, because anything art related I enjoy. Whether it be concept art, 3D animation, 2D animation, modeling. When I say modeling, I'm talking about 3D modeling or even sculpting. I'm not talking about walking down a runway. Though I wouldn't necessarily be against doing some modeling for clothing, but that's not really what I'm focusing on. You see all these different things that I have. Like this has a little piece of charcoal on it, and I think this came from a pen. It's the end of a pen that I modified to do this. I MacGyvered it. And yes, I actually did watch MacGyver and stuff like that. And if you don't know what MacGyver is, you're probably in the younger generation. Or if you're in the older generation, you just, I don't know. It was a popular show. I don't remember what year it was, but I know technically I think it was officially airing when I was probably either baby or maybe even younger than that. Maybe before I was born, it might have been airing. But I definitely saw it, but it might have been just reruns. Like I used to watch I Love Lucy, Taxi, Dick Van Dyke Show, Merrily Tyler Moore Show, and all these other things. And those are definitely before I was born. But they showed them on Nick at Night. Now on Nick at Night, they show shows I grew up watching that were new when I was growing up. And now those are old. Not that old. Yes, I'll be 40 soon, but that's not old. And those who are older than 40 agree it's not old. Those in their 20s think, oh, it's old. I had a friend in high school. Still have a friend in high school. I mean, he's still a friend, but when we were in high school, on our senior yearbook, he's like, keep playing piano till you're 40 because we took lessons from the same teacher. And so then he thought, 40 is going to be so old. We'll be so old when we're 40. Nope. I sent him I took a picture of that and sent it to him. I'm like, remember this? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you realize we're almost 40? He's like, yeah, I should have said just keep playing the piano until you physically can or something. I don't know. Yeah, because when you're in high school, 40 seems ancient. When you're an adult, even in your 20s, you think, oh, it's so far away. Well, now we're in our 20s. Not 20s, now we're in our 40s, or almost in 40s. Not quite in our 40s. Though I think he is. I think he's slightly older than I am. I can't remember. If he's not, he's gonna, and he sees this, he's like, what are you making me older than I am? I'm trying to get all these different little values. Value meaning light and dark. Not so much what something's worth. In art, when you say value, just how light or how dark something is. So if you're liking this, or if you want to see other things, like if you're like, hey, I want to see you do more Let's Plays or things of that nature, let me know. And share. If you know people in companies that need illustrators or concept artists, let them know about me. Help out your fellow man. And the best way to help out is to teach how to fish, or in this case, not teach how to fish, but get the person has the skills. And yes, you're always working on your skills, whether it be art skills, programming skills, nunchuck skills. You're always working on them, so but this is showing that, hey, not only am I working on them, but compared to what I was back in high school when it comes to art, I've improved a ton. back in high school, I still couldn't quite understand painting. I kept trying to draw it. So what's are you guys Halloween party people? Or are you guys more of stay home and hand out the candy? Or nowadays it's a lot of trunk or treats. This is General's charcoal pencils. I have a variety of different tools. Some people are picky, like, oh, I only use this one, or I only use this one. I've learned you can find really good tools in pretty much just about anywhere you look. Now, some aren't very good. I have some gouache paints that work pretty well out of the tube, but you can let them dry, like with gouache and watercolor, because they're water-based. Even when the paint is dry, whether it be on the canvas or, well, usually watercolor and gouache you don't necessarily do in canvas. The gouache you might be able to, but mainly on watercolor paper or stuff like that, or an illustration board. When you use the gouache and watercolor, if you squirt on your palette meaning where you actually put your paint to do it. If you watch Bob Ross, you'll see him holding his palette with the paint on it. That's the palette, and all the paint on it. But in gouache and watercolor, if you let it sit on your palette and dry on your palette, you can still add water and still start using it. You can't do that with acrylic. You can't do that with oil paints. Once oil paints or acrylics are dry, they're dry. You pretty much have to throw it out. With watercolor and gouache, you can rejuvenate it with water. But I have one that it's a pretty good brand, but it doesn't rejuvenate very well. Like when it dries, it gets kind of cracky, and it doesn't. You can still rejuvenate it, but it's not as good. The quality's not quite there. I have another one that's probably around the same price range, but when it dries on the palette, it still holds. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not. It doesn't crack up. It stays where it needs to be. So you can actually let it dry and actually carry it around without it just falling out. Makes it a lot more portable. So I mean, you can find good and bad, whether it be expensive or cheap. Both have their goods. Both have their bads. You can find something expensive that's still garbage. You can find something that's cheap that's actually pretty decent. It all depends. So it's never a generic everything expensive is this or everything cheap's this, or all Generation X is this or all Generation baby boomers are that. No, never generalize, because you'll find that that's about the worst thing you can do. It's like assuming all people of a skin color are a certain way. No, skin color is just the color of the skin. It's not the personality. It's not the person. And even countries. There are countries. You will find good people in countries and bad people in countries, whether it be America or anywhere else. Individuals are individuals. They're each unique in their own way, and they each choose to live. The key is just don't go trying to judge. You're no better than they. Just leave them alone. Care, love. Understand that you don't have to agree with everybody. You can have differences of opinion and still actually care about them. You can have differences of opinions and still be friends. We live in a society nowadays where everybody's quick to try to judge and like, if you don't think the way I think, then you must be. Well, no. If you actually have that attitude, you're in the wrong. People don't have to agree with you. They can have their own views and their own opinions. It's when you persecute that it's wrong. When you start persecuting people for their beliefs, then it's wrong. Don't persecute. You can keep your own beliefs, but don't persecute people for theirs. You also notice I'm using some of the leftover charcoal on these things to actually give some shading. What time is it? Not time, what? How long? It's been 26 minutes. I'll probably go until like this thing's actually a whiteboard marker holder, but I adapted it to do charcoal, to hold the charcoal. So, you don't have to agree with everything everybody says. You can have your own beliefs, but just don't persecute. The key is to actually truly love one another. You love one another, you're still going to want people to become better. You're not going to be like, oh, everything's just fine the way it is. No, you're going to want things to improve. You're going to want people to improve. But you're not going to persecute them. You're not going to think, oh, I can get you to change if I persecute you. If I persecute you, no, you're just going to cause more suffering and pain, and you're going to be the problem. You notice these marks almost look like simple graphite. And I use this one. A bit different. Then again, I think it's also different brands. So do I have a hard I have a medium on that. Where's a hard? That's medium. It's soft. Don't know what one this is. If you say, well, how do you, if you want change, how do you make change if you don't persecute? I mean, there are people who have been examples of trying to peaceful things, like Gandhi and stuff, but really it's be the example. Because if they're not going to change, they're not going to change. You can't change people. They have their agency. They have to have their agency, otherwise there'd be no point in this life. There'd be absolutely no point in being here if people did not have their agency. You say, what does that have to do? You gotta understand why we're here, what's the plan, where we're going, to understand that. why, if you look at lions and tigers and these kind of big cats, they have really dark lips. I'm sure there's probably some reason for it. Don't know what it is exactly, but I suspect there's probably a reason for it. Probably helps with something. Well, no, the eyes really help with sun. Kind of like what football players do with putting that little black line underneath. Let's do the nose. And the reference for the nose is actually pretty dark. I'm not going to make it quite that dark. If you're a big example, and if you're actually trying to do what's right, and you're trying to actually care about people, they'll see, they'll notice, and when they're ready, they'll ask, what makes you so different? Why are you so happy? Or why this? Because they'll be in the position to actually listen, at least for a little bit. They might not necessarily be ready to change anything yet, but they'll at least hear you. Or trying to persecute somebody. I mean, think about it. Somebody tries to order you to do something, or tries to control you. They try to take away your ability to choose. What's your first reaction? To become defensive. You're not going to want to listen. Especially since it's clear that they don't care. They're just trying to get what they want. Or they don't care about you. Be a friend. You'd be surprised how far friendship can take you. And actually be a friend. Don't just have an agenda. Let's do this one. We're getting dark because it's really dark down here, and plus I'm not trying to add all this detail down here. This is more, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna call this pretty soon here. I mean, there's one person I watched does art stuff, and I mean, he does 2 hour, 3 hour videos sometimes. I usually speed it up twice the speed, but still, I still enjoy watching the long thing. Mainly when he does traditional. He'll do digital a lot, and digital. Digital is good for me when it comes to trying to get something done quick, or trying to get it, or if I'm running a rough out idea. And I did digital for a long time, just digital. I hadn't touched traditional for a long time. But then I found, you know what, I miss doing it. I found I missed the traditional. And now I can't get enough of it. The only problem with this is I keep collecting so much artwork. I can either sell it or something. let's do the tongue. It's actually darker than that. Let's add a little bit of this right here, and then let's blend that out. I use my mark there and blend some of that down. Where's my white pencil? And these white pencils are harder to pick up with the eraser. You can still do it, but they tend to be easier to get really into the actual paper. Let's give a little bit more here. Oh yeah, I forgot to blend these things out. You don't have to blend everything like I do. Do whatever you feel is going to be best for your piece. This here is darker. There's also furs going in front of it. Just a little bit. Just a dab will do ya. Oh yeah, I haven't done that. It's either. It's too even. There's also a little bit of white going down here. Use the blending stump to give and then use the pencil to give it a little darker outside. Let's see. Nope, that's as far as I can get. I can always move the camera down or something, but I think I'm going to call that. I just need to do the whiskers. just do those random. They're so varied on the things that. Well, thank you for watching. If you like it, like, subscribe. You know the deal. YouTube has been around long enough that everybody knows it. It's probably stuck in their heads. But anyway, and share. Let people know that, hey, here's an artist that's ready and raring to go, who loves art, who loves working for the company and getting what they need out, whether it be illustration or concept art. And I'm going to do one more thing. Try to emphasize this a little bit so it doesn't. If you ever watch Aaron Blaise, you can laugh at this, that I just said, oh, one more thing, and needing one more thing. Alright, adios, goodbye, Avidiswe, or however you say it, and I'm saying it wrong, and annyeonghaseyo. I'm signing out.